Contaminated blood was an international disaster that cost thousands of lives. And in the 1990s, investigations began to find out who was to blame. In America, the companies that supplied the infected products had to pay millions in global out-of-court settlements. In France, the former health minister was found guilty of manslaughter, and the former head of the blood transfusion service and his deputy were jailed. In Japan, 3 company executives went to prison, and a former top official in the health ministry was convicted on a charge of negligence resulting in death. In Britain, nothing like that happened, and no one was held responsible. The victims and their families were left wanting answers from the government.
Why did they keep importing American products, knowing that people were getting infected with HIV?
They knew the risk when they imported it. They've devastated so many families, and they're still burying their head in the sand and denying any knowledge.
It took more than 20 years for the first inquiry to be held in the UK. It was chaired by Lord Archer and reported in 2009.
The procrastination in achieving national self-sufficiency had disastrous consequences.
Lord Archer criticised the government for being slow to react to the crisis, but he didn't find anyone to blame. The Archer inquiry was not a statutory inquiry. It couldn't compel witnesses to attend, and none of the ministers or civil servants who dealt with the crisis did. In Scotland, there was an official inquiry, chaired by Lord Penrose, which took 6 years and cost £12 million. But his report focused on Scotland, and once again, no one from Westminster gave evidence. Lord Penrose concluded that in Scotland, in relation to AIDS, all that could reasonably be done was done, and no one was to blame. Many of the victims were furious. But it did prompt an apology from the Prime Minister.
I would like to say sorry on behalf of the government for something that should not have happened.
Pardon? Is that what, 6 years, 7 years? Is that what you're going to give us? You're going to give us nothing. Nothing. I was shocked. Shocked.
But after the Penrose report, one thing became clear. In England, where the government relied on American Factor VIII, haemophiliacs were twice as likely to be infected with HIV as those in Scotland, which made almost all its own supplies.
If you look at the difference between England and Scotland in terms of the outcomes, you have to conclude that it was not unavoidable. It was avoidable. If you're a haemophilia doctor, it was beyond your control. But in terms of the broad thrust of the difference between England and Scotland, that's about government. That's about government. And the truth about that has not yet been told.